I've got to manage myself, I've got to manage my mind. The task is not easy, but to higher heights I climb.
I'm determined to succeed, so no excuses, please. If you don't want success in life, then don't hinder me. Yes, let the whole world know I'm a CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. The time is here to celebrate. You are a CEO. You are a CEO. You are a CEO. You are a CEO. Yes, let the whole world know. The time is here to celebrate. Success is calling, so don't be late. You are a CEO.
Hello, everyone. Michael E. Parker here for another exciting show. I hope you're doing well out there. And listen, tonight we're going to talk about something so important, and that is the achievement engine. And that achievement engine is so critical because it's something that we all need, we all must have, because every single day, as CEOs of our life, we should be thinking about how we can achieve more and more and more. So we're going to jump into this subject here tonight, and I really want you to think about this, and I hope you'll get a lot out of this, because I want everyone out there to have an achievement engine. When we think about URCO, when we think about the Achievement Club, we think about everything that we do here, it's all about seeing people achieve more. And you know, I don't like defining success as most people do. I'm not one of those people online standing in front of a Lamborghini. We don't feel that that's what real success looks like. It's the people every single day that's achieving things. It's the journey. It's not the destination. It's always looking at the work that we do every single day, achieving one thing at a time, and always making sure that we stay in this energy of accomplishing and overcoming and beginning to do things that help get us over things to achieve one more time every single day. So let's talk about this thing, achievement engine. Now, when you think about an engine, you know, you think about cars, right? You think about a car with an engine that can really go. And I'm sure this vehicle, as you can see here, you know, I would imagine it could give a good race to most cars right on the street today, right? And I don't know if any of you all have a vehicle like this, but I'm sure when you see this, you have respect for it, and you wouldn't question that maybe it has a good engine in it that can push. And so, you know, when you think about engines, you think about horsepower, you think about, you know, acceleration, you think about something that can actually begin to cause a car to go and move, right? And so, again, we think about that. Now, but there's levels of engines, right? You know, so when you think about this car, let's go a little bit deeper. What about the engine with this big old ship that you see here? You know, and when you think about ships that, you know, carry a lot of cargo, and, you know, they got to have a very big engine. And I don't know if you've ever seen some of the engines that support ships like this, but they're gigantic. They're humongous. And because they have to be able to actually get this size of a monstrosity to move, right? And so being able to move and to control this it takes a stronger engine. So when you think about that, my point is there's different types of engines, right? It depends on the type of a load that you're carrying. I hope you caught that. And so it's very important. Our engine needs to be able to be strong enough to carry the load that we're carrying. Very important. Now, what about the engine in an airplane? Like you see here, you know, that has to have a pretty serious engine, right? So if you are trying to fly, that's another level of an engine. And so you can see an engine is what, you know, again, makes things go, makes things move. And think about it. These are some very, very large things that are able to be impacted by an engine. So when we think about an achievement engine, I want you to think a lot deeper about what that really means. Now, speaking of thinking deeper, let's answer the question, what is an engine, right? And let's just look at the definition of that. And there's a lot we can learn from it. So an engine basically is a machine for converting any of various forms of energy into mechanical force and motion. So this is a standard definition of what an engine is. Now, there's a lot of things in this definition, so let's just kind of leave this here for a minute. I want you to really look at that. So first of all, it's a machine, so it's something that and can operate and do the same thing over and over again. It's also a converter, right? So that's very important. It's something that has the ability to convert things from one state to another. It also is something that is able to receive energy. So it can convert various forms of energy, as the definition says. So it has to receive that energy. And then when it says into, there's the conversion part, it can then translate that energy into something that can create force and motion. Now here it focused on mechanical force, but I want you just to note force and motion. Now let's head over to the whiteboard for a minute and let's kind of talk about that a little bit, break that down a little bit. So we think about all that we learned there was, pretty deep. So first we're dealing with energy, right? And so energy is a big part of that, right? And we'll come back to this. Then we've got the actual engine, right? And this engine, we learn it can convert. It's a converter. It's able to convert this energy. And from there, we know that out of this, we see force as well as motion can come from it. So these are very important elements of kind of looking at what this all means and kind of how this all looks. So we're talking about how energy is then converted, and you're able to use an engine to convert that, and it translate that into a force and into a motion. So I want you to really think about that and kind of the depth to that, right? Because we're talking about different elements of this. So let's really, kind of break this down. So when we think about energy, so, energy is, again, we're talking about here, let me get me another maybe color here. So energy is really the potential to create value, right? And sometimes in physics, I should say, we talk about energy as, there's kinetic energy and there's potential energy, and energy that can create work. It can cause, different things to take place. If you are able to tap into that energy, you hear about a body in motion stays in motion, it takes energy and so forth. But when we talk about energy, when we're speaking specifically, we're really today talking about really how to create an achievement engine, okay? So when we think about an achievement engine, we're thinking about, this is a little bit deeper in terms of what these things mean in this context. So energy is potential to create value, right? And this is really, where we are, right? So we have the potential to create value every day, every second, right? So that's really important. And then we're going to focus a lot today on this engine, right? And like specific here at URCEO, this is really what we're about here at URCEO, right? And also you hear us talk about the A Club, right? All a part of URCEO. We're all about this achievement club that is helping people create an achievement engine, right? So we're going to come back to this and kind of break this down more. But let's talk about force and motion and just kind of laying a framework here. So force, right, when we're dealing with force, we're really looking at the ability to overcome a barrier or obstacle, right? So very important. So this achievement engine can take the potential, energy, the potential to create value and translate it into something that can overcome a barrier or an obstacle. Very important. Then we think about motion, right? So motion has a lot to do with momentum, right? To really begin to be non-stop, right? So here we're dealing with endurance, relentlessness, right? So when you think about this, we're talking about now kind of defining this achievement engine. We're thinking deeper about what these things mean. Now, we know the standard definition of an engine and what it can do. Now, I want you to relook at this now through the mindset of what we're actually doing, that we have the potential to create value, right? Let's pull that definition up one more time. I want you to look at that real quick. So we have the potential we can create a machine that's able to convert any various forms of energy, right, which is our potential to create value, into a force and motion, okay? So coming back here to the whiteboard, you can see here, again, what we have that potential to create value. We have this engine that then translates into something that can overcome barriers and obstacles, because this is going to happen. What is this? Life. That's what this is, right? And then we have to be able to get to the point, being able to convert that potential to create value into something that has momentum, something that is actually getting things done and is moving, right? When you think about an entrepreneur, one of the greatest things you want to see is someone who's in motion. They're doing stuff, even if it's not always working. You entrepreneurs out there that's in the struggle and everything's not like you want it, listen, I would work with someone 10 times quicker that I know is doing something, right? Not sitting around talking, but they're in motion, they're in momentum. But it's the same thing in just day-to-day life. Some of us that, as the old saying goes, if you want to get anything done, give it to someone who's busy, right? Because they're used to getting things done. Like they got 11 things, you give them a 12th thing, they're going to probably get that done. And someone who's not doing anything, you give them one thing and they still will be working on that one thing forever. Person who's doing something, they're in momentum, they're in motion, right? And you start getting into endurance, relentlessness, because you're thinking about being in motion. So this is very powerful, right, for us to understand this. So for this whole thing to work, and the whole point of it all is that we want to create basically an engine that can really do this in our life, because none of this matters if we don't have the engine. So great about energy, force, and motion, but what is it that makes this whole thing work is the converter in between. So we really want to create this converter. Now, let's talk about this. So when we think about, basically, this is the 5 keys to an achievement engine. Okay? I don't want to walk through these with you. Now, specific to those of us that's in URCL, so I'm talking to you, as if you're in the achievement club, you're a part of what URCL is doing, you're in the movement, because this is the way that we have tools to help you be able to do this. And we'll translate it to that in just a minute to show you how it all works. But I'm going to speak of it in general at first, just to understand why and what is happening. So one thing that is very important, an important key, right, is to celebrate at least one achievement every day. This is so important, right? So again, a lot of times we talk so much, and many of our things here in URCO, we come back to the brain, right? And how the brain works. When we think about the brain and how it works, we have to feed the brain. If we want to create an engine, right, something that's on and stays on, we have to be able to actually fuel that with the behavior that we're trying to actually, create. And so this is so important. Something happens to you when you stop to think about what you've achieved in a particular day. And so, oftentimes we just live, but we don't stop to think. So I'm trying to get your mind. Remember, the engine is a converter. So I have to convert how I think. I have to convert that, thinking about my achievement is not big, what did I get done today? I don't think I need to think, what, did I get through my things that I need to do? But I don't stop and actually say, hey, what was an achievement today? What was it that I did today that really mattered to me? At least one thing. And it could be 10 things, but there's always one. And you should be able to think about that. And if there's not, then you need to think about, what you're doing, right? And so, but this is so important that you have to, so there's two sides of this, right? One side of it is to become aware, right? Because I'm becoming aware by asking the question, right? And so when I ask the question, I become aware. Now, when I identify it and then I begin to make a record of that, right? So now, I move from, not just being aware, but now I actually am having a record, right? And when we have a record, we know that a record is something that makes it true. It's something that allows it to be something that not only can fuel the future, but it also allows me to have something that encourages the future because I know this is a record of real things that I've done. So this is very important. We'll come back to this. Another key element is to, I would say, to learn something every week. And I would say to put at least 30 minutes to 1 hour into learning something every week, right? And so all of this is critical. Now, when we think about learning something, this could be in life, this could be regarding business, right? Could be something to do with health, which also could be life. Anything with our career, right? Goes on and on. So taking the time to learn something every week, right? And we know that, sometimes our days are moving. There's a lot we have going on. But every week, we should learn something new. And again, I shouldn't say new, learn something. And so with learning something, sometimes remember, when you learn, something happens to you. So learning creates growth. And learning also keeps you alert to achievement because you're always in the sense of storing things, right, to memory that actually will help you be able to respond to problems, challenges, or even live better. You even notice that as people get older, they try to challenge seniors to keep learning, right? Because it really keeps them sharp. It keeps them alive, right? But we need that no matter the age. We have to keep on learning. This is so important when we think about having that success. So learning something, keeping making sure every week we're taking time to learn, to absorb information, and seeing that as a must, like it's a part of the achievement engine. It's like oil, right? I've got to put some things in, right? So very, very important. Now, another area, so I'm going to call this 3-3 achieve. And what I mean by this is basically every month, so we kind of look at the day, this is the day, kind of the week. Now, every month, I should be stopping to see 3 major achievements that I've accomplished this month, to stop and acknowledge at least 3 major achievements. And then think about 3 major achievements that you can do by the end of next month. So this is very important. Now here you can see we're dealing more at the month level. Now we're still talking about this achievement engine. So not only am I achieving things every day and getting conscious of achievement being something that is real and tangible that I experience every day, because what is that doing? It's causing me to get into a rhythm of seeing achievement as a friendship, as a relationship. It's something that I touch all the time. It's not foreign, it's not a stranger, it's not unfamiliar. So getting in the habit of that, that's what I do, that's what I'm about, because I stop and I think about that on the daily. And then making it a habit of saying every week, I make time to learn. I have to fuel my mind. I have to open my mind, right? Very, very critical to be able to keep expanding. And then 3-3 Achieve is saying, hey, every month, I want at least 3 major things that I stop and acknowledge. These are 3 major things, and hopefully they're the things that you talked about from the previous month that you wanted to do, right? But acknowledging those things that they happen, and then thinking about 3 major things you want to accomplish the next month. So this is, again, getting you achievement-oriented. This is a big part of that achievement engine. Now, another area that is a big part of this, right? Another big part of this, and I'm going to talk to you about how we do this in URCO, because it's really kind of hard to do, but we need some way of really being able to create some sort of, overall score, if you will, of how I am achieving, right? So being able to measure my achievement, I would say, my achievement results, right? Now, so you need a way to measure your achievement results, right? You need like an indicator. When we talk about engines, there's things that you look at to determine if the engine is okay. So, if it needs oil or what have you, there's different indicators. And so one of the key things, and we'll talk about this, and this is kind of hard to do without our, with some of the systems that we have, and we'll talk about that. But you need a way of measuring your achievement results and kind of where you're at. When I say result, it's not really so much outcome, but it's the indicator. I would even say that to measure my achievement indicator, right? Like what is the indicators of where I'm at right now, right? So, how am I doing? Where am I going? How am I trending in terms of, how well is the achievement engine working? Very important. So we'll come back to that. And then the 5th one here is to actually begin to anchor achievement as a habit, okay? Now, all of this is related, but there's some specific things we can do to try to anchor that achievement as a habit. Now, I want you to keep in mind, get me another pen here. Now, this is really important. Now, what we do is specific to, in the 8 Club here at URCO, we've worked to create an avenue. So there's actually some art and science related to why we do things the way we do in URCO. So for example, celebrating at least one achievement every day. So again, that's why we have platforms like Uplift, where we say achieve, share, and celebrate, because this is really what we want you to be able to do. Is it's a great way to create a record. And there's a way, I'm going to talk about some elements that are in there that also help with this in terms of creating habit. But there's a way to keep a record, right, in an environment, because a big part of this energy and potential to create value, the environment that you're in that allows you to see the energy within you, see the potential within you, it is what then needs to come into this engine, and then you begin to take action. And so with Uplift, not only do we keep a record of what we're achieving, but we celebrate the achievement of others. And that's just as important because, again, we're making achievement something that is a rhythm, it's something that's a norm, it's something that we always do. Now, here in Learning Something Every Week, so as you all know, we have our CEO app, right? Filled with our libraries and challenges and training, all kinds of things you can access. Shows like you're experiencing now. Some of you are, by coming to these shows, you're kind of fulfilling this one, right? Number 2. But we have to make time and see it as a valuable thing because you have to feed your achievement engine, right? So always, and I don't care if it's something you heard before, because when you do this, what happens is you learn a little bit more. You see something you didn't see before. You go a little bit deeper, right? This is what we're talking about. This is what we want to actually be able to tap into. Now, let me turn this off here. So when you look at all of these things are for a reason, okay? Now, I want you to look deeper here. Now, when you think about your major achievements, so these major things that you're accomplishing, stopping to take note of that every month and teaching yourself to do that is very critical. Now, again, Uplift is still our place that we can keep records and we can celebrate things that are actually happening here. Now, when we talk about measuring achievement and having indicators, so this is one of the reasons that I created something called C-Bucks, right? And this stands for CEO Bucks, right? But what this really is the currency of achievement, right? Never been created before. And there's actually a lot to this that sometimes people might not have all the details of what's actually happening in our technology, but it's looking at both what you're doing in your living and in your learning. So hopefully you can see that. So living and learning is very important when we're talking about the indicators, okay? So we talked about some of the living, like what I'm achieving, what's actually happening. We talked about some of the learning, right? And we talk about keeping a record. But as I begin to live my life, right, and I'm capturing things, and I get in a habit of, actually sharing my achievement, because when I think about my achievement, it does something to me. When I share it, it does something to me, right? When I actually open up and share an achievement, I'm deepening my relationship with achievement. I'm deepening my habit formation. When I start to let you see what I've done and you begin to celebrate what I've done, it makes me want to do it again. Like all of this, this is how the brain works and how habit formation is created. And then you doing the same thing for other people. Then there's an environment created where everyone is doing this for each other, and this achievement engine, it gets even stronger. But back to this C-Buck. So this currency is looking at, so there's a reason you get points in Uplift that can be converted to C-Bucks for all the actions you're taking as you live life and you're acknowledging people who are doing real things in life and giving them high fives and complimenting them, right? Then you're posting things and you're going to showrooms and you're being active. Then you come into URCO app, right? And now you're doing a lot of learning, right? You're consuming shows. You're looking at coaching sessions. You're looking at inspiring content. You're taking challenges. You're doing assessments, all these different things, right? And as you do all of that, what's happening? We have a converter that converts Uplift points to C-Bucks. So there's your living as we do things in the real world and we capture it and we begin to use the Uplift to capture those things and then celebrate other people's real life experiences. And then as we learn, you'll notice in URCO, as you learn, you'll see a little C-Bucks symbol coming up. Like if you watch a video, for a certain amount of time, you get C-Bucks for the amount of time that you're actually watching it. So, every so often you'll notice that. Why? It's teaching you the value of what's happening to you. So actually, while you're in the experience of learning, there's C-Bucks being earned. And all of this is helping to keep track of your indicators. We have a single point of reference. And even though we call this your net worth, right? Really, we're looking at your self-worth, right? And what we mean by self-worth is that when I live and I learn, I'm investing in myself. When I'm learning new skills, right? And I'm going to new things and I'm posting and I'm growing and I'm communicating, all of this stuff is causing me to grow. It's causing me to expand. So this is, again, increasing my self-worth, giving me real things, right? When my self-awareness is higher, when my courage IQ is higher, when I'm able to be more self-empowered, when I'm able to strive for excellence in a variety of situations, when I'm more skilled in certain business topics, when I understand more about entrepreneurship, when I understand more about skills that'll help me in my career, all these things add to my worth. And so that's why we're very careful at the types of content that is available to make sure, again, because when we talk about force in motion, right? When we talk about force in motion and this engine helping us to go create force in motion, where is it that we want? So hopefully you can see this here, but where are we going to create force in motion in? Well, we know, and when we build our house, we talk about mind fitness, right? Then we talk about health, right? Then we talk about life management. Then we talk about people, which is really relationships. Then we talk about this roof of wealth, or dealing with making money and managing money. All of this is where we need the force and the motion to help us go and create these things. And as we start to do these things and we accomplish and we fight and we work and we overcome obstacles, we then begin to still track all of that by going through these 5 keys. All right. Now, last but not least, I want to focus in on how we anchor that achievement as a habit. Now, all of these things are part of the anchoring process. And this is something that you really, again, these are keys, but some of these things you can't just do yourself. But as you do these things and as you're in an achievement environment, that's why we created the A Club, you can begin to anchor that achievement because we have created and put certain things in this entire experience, right? I kind of talked about this, but the entire experience actually allows those things to be anchored. So, last but not least, I want to talk about anchoring, and I want to bring you to this phrase, dose, right? And we think about a dose of something, we think about medicine, right? Or something that, or even something someone is forming a habit with, right? And that could be not good. But this is going to be a positive dose, right? A dose of achievement energy, a dose of achievement habit formation, something we're really beginning to create a pattern for. So this 5th and final key is really the final anchor. And that's why we need everything we're doing here at URCO. So what are we talking about? The D here is for dopamine. And dopamine, this is all stuff that happens in the brain. It releases when we have fun. So that's why inside of Uplift and URCO, even though we are serious, even though we are all about our life, we're all about our business, we're serious about our relationships, we're serious about making more money, we're dealing with real problems, we're dealing with real stress, we got real mental anguish that we fight through every day. We are making it fun, and that's why you see certain colors and you see certain pop-ups, because why? The brain starts to associate achievement with having fun, and we start to want to do it over and over again. So I want you to know what's happening to you if you really use what's been created, and it's also fun when we interact, right? So again, by making it fun, the dopamine, begins to release, and it makes me want to, again, anchor. Then we're dealing with oxytocin, right? This is another chemical from the brain. Now here, oxytocin is stimulated through connection, right? And so that's why we have a social element, right? Where we can connect with other people, we can celebrate other people, we can high five, we can really begin to do things together. We get that sense. We can do challenges together in URCO. We need that connection. We can't do this in a box. We got to see other people posting their achievements. We need to see that. We need to connect with that. That causes oxytocin to release, and it makes us want to do these things again. We start building relationships and friendships with other achievers. Very important. Then we've got serotonin. Serotonin. Make sure I'm spelling that right. Well, y'all see what I'm trying to spell here? Yeah. So serotonin, here, it's really triggered by status and accomplishment, right? To see a certain amount of status, it causes things to release. That's why it's important to know, where am I at? What have I arrived at? This is something that's important to us. So when we see that's why in some of the things that we do, you'll notice we acknowledge when you are at another level. We acknowledge you when you achieve a certain classification. You know, as you reach a new mountain that you conquer and uplift, or you go to another higher level of net worth in URCO, and we stop and acknowledge that. All of that is purposeful. There's an experience there that causes you to feel a certain way. And I need it. You need it. We all want, and this is not status to be political or hungry for ego. This is about really beginning to build my status in myself, my self-worth, to be able to keep pushing myself higher. This is what we need. And last but not least, we deal with endorphins, right? And endorphins wants rewards, right, for effort. And this is all through what we do, you know, in all of our platforms. Is almost everything you do. You know, we acknowledge it through points or C-Bucks, or, you know, acknowledgement from other people, just different ways of generating that endorphin where, and when you reach certain milestones, right? You get on a mint streak, or you get something that happens where you get a new milestone in Uplift or URCO. All of this is built to really begin to turn that engine on. Now, we know, you know, as you begin to do this, really, you're using both Uplift and URCO to help you. And when we, you know, start getting into platforms like Money CEO, that's really more some of the things we're going, and we're using this energy now to go create some force and motion with our money management, right? And there's more tools URCO is going to always have and be, you know, coming up with for you to go and use. But these two are so critical to this achievement engine. So I hope you got a lot out of that. You can see we got a whiteboard here full of information. And so I want to now come back here and just want to remind you, as I often say, listen, when you turn on your achievement engine, the destination doesn't matter. It's all about the engine being turned on. They say vroom, vroom, like you know, when they're talking about a car having that speed and energy and that umph to be able to go. That's what we need in our life. That's what we need to face our fears. That's what we need to face our business challenges. That's what we got to do every single day when we have a disappointment. And so when you really call this something that you are going to make important in your life, I guarantee you, when you turn this achievement engine on, it doesn't matter where you're trying to go now and what you're trying to do later. It's the fact that this something is on inside of you, and you're a part of something that says, no matter what, I'm going to keep on achieving, keep on going until I arrive at that state of where I only know to keep achieving no matter what comes, what goes. I'm just going to keep on achieving as a way of life. I hope you enjoyed this show tonight, and this has been a very, very special, unique show. So remember everything you heard. Make sure you get out there, keep achieving, keep pushing yourself, because this is something that is so near and dear to every goal that we have. And so make sure you never forget what you heard tonight. Embrace the A Club, embrace URCO, be a part of a community that is fighting every day to achieve more, because this is what we all need, and we got to do it together. All right, our next show is going to be special and unexpected. It's called The Forgotten Language. Now, I want you, I bet you wonder, well, what is that about? I'm going to have a special guest, and we're going to have a lot of fun on that show, so make sure you don't miss it. From now until then, get out there and let the whole world know that you are a CEO.